has stated in that statement, filled with many poison pills. It is by far the biggest threat to religious freedom and freedom in general and the sanctity of human life that I've ever seen come out of Congress.
Well, you know, the Constitution, we talk about the First Amendment, but it says Congress shall pass no law respecting the establishment of religion. They made a big deal, but said, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This law would completely nullify that part of the Constitution. Is that right?
Exactly, it would. And so for churches and for Christian universities and colleges, say, for example, like Regent and others, you would, if you did not comply with these mandates, if you refused to allow a man, to sleep in a hotel room in the same room with a girl when they're on an overnight athletic event or something else, when they're on an overnight stay, that would be like race discrimination, and this would be discrimination on the basis of LGBT. That would result in loss of tax exemption, and it could also affect accreditation of colleges and universities. So this is exceptionally broad. It covers every area of our lives. Churches, nonprofits, for-profits, online home businesses. It covers everything. It's an excessive overreach. It is filled with two of the Democratic priorities in the House: LGBT and abortion, and guts religious freedom.
Matt, you know, this LGBT, it wasn't long ago that somebody was having a sex change, and it was a relatively rare thing. Suddenly the people who are having sex changes have got a protected status. LG is lesbian, bisexual. What is that? What do those initials all stand for?
You know, it's really lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and then they add many other letters of the alphabet. Q for questioning, you don't know what you are. And under the transgender, it's not just someone who's gender confused, a man who wants to be a woman or vice versa. It's someone also who wants to be neither. Believe it or not, there are people who are claiming that they're neither male nor female, and they prefer and they demand, and under this law, they will be required to be addressed by the pronoun they. That's right, the plural pronoun they. This is exceptionally broad. You're not going to be able to get away from this if it's passed. It will certainly pass in the House. The real battle will be to stop it in the Senate. There's already 45 or so co-sponsors in the Senate. All the Democrats are lining up there, including at least one Republican. But I think that's the battle where we can stop it. We don't need to let it get to the president's desk for a veto. It needs to be stopped in the Senate because it is literally culture changing in so many aspects.
Man, where did it come from? I've been doing these things for years and years, but it looks like the last 5 or 10 years this has suddenly gained incredible momentum. What's the origin of it? Who's sponsoring all these things?
You know, it makes no sense, but what we see is an exponential, rapid growth of this LGBT issue. And the LGBT issue is intolerant, and the target is religious freedom, churches, people of faith, because that's the last bastion that holds to Judeo-Christian values. And that's why this literally guts religious freedom. Chuck Schumer was a co-sponsor of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and this law for the very first time specifically says you cannot use the Religious Freedom Restoration Act as a claim or defense. So it literally guts religious freedom. The ultimate target is religious freedom, people of faith. This would also reverse the ability of churches, synagogues, and mosques to make hiring decisions based upon their religion. So in other words, a synagogue preferring Jews over Muslims would be in violation. A church preferring Christians over atheists would be in violation of this law.
Can you get Jewish support for this, for the work you're doing?
I think we can get Jewish support. I think we can get a broad-based support, because once you really start to look at this law, it's really right there on the surface. It literally removes that the law's protection that goes all the way back to 1964 that churches, houses of worship, can make hiring, employment decisions based upon their faith. It makes sense that Catholics should be able to prefer Catholics in their church. Protestants should be able to prefer Protestants, Jews, Muslims. But this literally repeals that ability across the board. So I think the more people become aware of this bill, maybe not with some of the radicalism that's happening in the Congress, particularly in the House, but the grassroots, religious faith leaders and faith communities, once they realize the impact of this bill, it's far beyond just LGBT. As bad as that is, as dangerous as that is to freedom, it is a broad-based repeal of religious freedom across the board.
Well, Matt, thank you for the work you're doing. And I wanted to ask our audience now, I think you should call your senator or your congressman, your representative. The telephone number for the Capitol Hill switchboard is 202-224-3121. And you can call in and say, I object to this bill. I want you to vote against it. And the thing is coming up in the House, apparently, and it's going to be pushed in the Senate. Let me give you that number. There it is, 202-224-3121. That's the switchboard, and I think everybody in this audience right now, go to your telephones and jam up those phones up there and let them know that you are opposed to what is called the religious,
Equality Act.
The Equality Act. It's just, of course, it's got a name, and all they always give the good names to these things. This is a devastating blow to religious freedom and to the sanctity of America. If you want to bring the judgment of God on this nation, you just keep this stuff up. You know, I was reading in Leviticus where it said, because of these things, the land will vomit you out. Vomit you out. I think God will say, I've had it with America. If you do this kind of stuff, I'm going to get rid of you as a nation. And, you know, there's plenty of stuff that's going on when you look at the potential of atomic war, when you look at the solar strike, something on our grid there, you can go down the line of devastation that could happen to our nation. We don't want that. We don't want it. We want the blessing of God, not the curse of God. So, again, call your don't let these people get away with this nonsense. This is absolutely outrageous. It's an attack on your religious freedom, on the freedom of churches, the freedoms of synagogues, whoever. They're an attack on you, and you don't want that. Again, that number is on your screen, 202-224-3121. Call your senator or call your congressman and say, I'm opposed to this so-called Equality Act, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, up next, we've got an interesting